Hello, and welcome to the Heart of Good Victory series. My name is Dr. Eunice Ofori, and here I share insights from my memoir, Good Victory, an African woman's journey of faith and endurance. In this 11th video within the series, I will respond to questions based on chapter 11 of the book, and also have a guest speaker share a testimonial. Let's dive in.
Go to chapter 11. Now, you talk about a physical encounter, Dr. Eunice, you had in chapter 11. And, there's no doubt that physical encounter with your now godmother, who is actually Dr. Taylor, who's going to speak next, had a profound impact on your life. Now, looking back, Dr. Eunice, what would you say was the most transformative aspect of this encounter? And how has it shaped you, who you are today?
I think there's so many different instances that all all of what the women have said, the support and everything. But I think one thing that God knows the deepest part of our soul. And one thing that I was longing for was my godmother in Ghana, who had gone to be with the Lord, Mrs. Taylor, who had gone to be with the Lord. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I so miss Mrs. Taylor so much. And so I spent time. I was doing a 21-day fast, so I spent time, I spent time focusing on him, figuring out how I was going to go back to campus, because people would be asking me, because I was closer to my due date, people would ask baby pictures and all of that. But one thing that I think resonated with me with that, God knew that I needed to have more than what I'm experiencing in that moment. He met my need in that moment and also for a lifetime. And I'm in awe of the fact that God can do that for me. And for Mrs. Taylor's her obedience to the prompting of the Holy Spirit while she was in her closet praying to come and find me. And I cannot really imagine. And when she told me her name, I was floored. And one thing that I clearly remember, I don't know if Kwame, my husband, remembers, I got home from that experience. And he's like, what happened? Because there was something that has completely shifted and changed in my life that I didn't even know. But God knew that I needed that. And what is ironic is that Mrs. Taylor, who would speak with us in just a minute, had also lost a daughter in a similar circumstance as I did. And so she was someone that really understood where I was, in the space where I was, and would be able to minister to me. And I'm just grateful to the Lord for bringing her my way, and for her obedience to the Lord, for coming to find me that day.
Now, this shocked me, okay? Because then to give more context, Mrs. Taylor, who was a godmother who passed away, has the same name, who is Ghanaian, has the same name with this Mrs. Taylor, who is Caucasian. And then secondly, Dr. Yini said she missed a bus. She was actually getting a bus home, and she missed the bus. At that specific time when she missed the bus, that was when Mrs. Taylor was praying, and she felt the Lord say, go down there and meet someone. And then they just met. And then she realized that, oh my goodness, you were really sent to me. This is truly amazing. Mrs. Taylor, we can't wait to see you and share your story. Just come on and tell us, your perspective in 2 minutes.
Yes, it was something that I've always done is pray and always to be led by the Holy Spirit. And that was just a special moment. I just walked out and there she sat, and my spirit and my heart was drawn to her. And then I just began to lay hands on her and pray, as I've always done with anyone. And we had such a kindred spirit and a love for one another as a mother and a daughter, which I never had my daughter. And Eunice became a daughter to me.
Wow.
And the love that we had continued on, and we just stayed in contact with each other. And I have been at Virginia Tech and there for over 30 years, but I just retired of 40 years at Virginia Tech. So it's divine appointments that everywhere you go, be prepared to minister, because God's going to use you to help someone that needs that help and to pray for them.
Wow, this is truly amazing. Another interesting thing is that Dr. Eunice mentions that they were working in the same building, and you have been there for how long? Was it 2 years, Dr. Eunice?
I had been there 2 years prior. I was working on the
Okay.
second floor. She worked on the first floor. And if you know me, you know that I know everybody in any building. And for some reason I never met her. Never. Like I would go up and down, go to the third floor, go and talk to people. Never met her because I feel like God wrapped this in a special package for that to happen at the time it happened. And at the time I was in that building again when we met, I had gone to talk to my boss and do all the crying and everything else before the semester started. And I kept telling God, I don't know how I'm going to go back. How do I go back? And because I was an international student, I couldn't really just, take a semester off. I needed to keep going because of like visa issues and
Right.
and all that. So I'm just amazed that God did
Right.
that. And it was relevant for us to meet at the time we did.
This can never be a coincidence. It definitely was divine providence. Thank you, Mrs. Taylor, for availing yourself, and thanks for the encouragement.
Together, let's reflect, connect, and discover what it means to live a life of victory. Remember, victory is within your reach.